Hi everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for attending our peer leader training webinar, How to Manage a Team in an Online World. Many of you probably have or will be in a situation where you have to be a team leader in some capacity. Today, we will be providing you with skills on how to be a more effective team leader in an online world, whether or not you have some experience in this role. So first, we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Jed.
My name is Mohammed.
And I'm Rosie, and we've all been working for the McLaughlin College Peer Mentors Network for 2 years now. In our first year with the program, we were working to serve our students in person. Now we've transitioned our services to an online setting. In light of this, we're looking forward to sharing with you what we've learned about managing a team in an online world.
After this session, all of you will be able to gain the tools to build collaborative relationships with team members you have not met in real life, gain the skills to establish team goals, set expectations, and set accountability checks on behalf of the team, and learn how to establish clear communication within a team to manage multiple projects and priorities effectively.
As we go through this presentation, I want us to reflect and try to think for ourselves what we believe are some of the greatest qualities that an effective team leader should have. And although we will be sharing them, Jed, myself, and Rosie will be sharing qualities with you throughout the presentation. We also want you to extrapolate and try to think of qualities that you find important.
So, how to lead a team to success. So, the purpose of this portion of the presentation is to demonstrate that the way in which work is disseminated and how individuals in a group are treated significantly contribute to the success of a group's goal, whether that be a virtual event that you've been tasked with planning for a club or a school project to be presented before your professor and classmates. Before I discuss the essential steps to contributing to a team in a positive way, please reflect on the following question. From your experiences, what has been the most rewarding part of working in a group setting? Oftentimes, people's favorite parts about working as part of a team that achieves favorable outcomes start with a good leader. From my own personal experiences working in a team, what has meant the most to me is having a leader who frequently checks in to see if I'm comfortable managing my tasks and asks for my input in order to improve the way the team is running. The 6 steps to leading a successful team. 1. Ensure that everyone understands the scope of the assignment. By assignment, I'm referring to a school assignment like a group project or even an event for a club. As a group leader, when speaking about an upcoming project for the first time, communicate using simple language and be open to questions from your team members regarding details. 2. Delegate work and roles. As a team leader, be clear about what's expected of everyone and give them the space to get to work. It's important to assign specific responsibilities in order to increase productivity. And 3, be a full and active participant. Offer help where you can and frequently touch base with your team members. Don't only assign work as a team leader, get to work yourself. You will likely have your own tasks to complete as a group leader, but if time allows, consider lending a helping hand to group members who have a lot of work to complete or offer a compassionate listening ear to field their questions and concerns. 4. Speak to and about team members with respect. This may seem obvious, but avoid speaking poorly about your group members with other members of the group. Gossiping will likely lead to a toxic group environment, decreasing the level of trust shared between members, thus shutting down lines of communication. Consider sending out a Google form where group members can anonymously provide feedback on how the group can improve in order to encourage constructive criticism without engaging in slander. 5. Solve conflict efficiently. Make it clear from the outset that respect is expected within the team. Encourage group members to solve conflict among themselves first, and if this proves ineffective, advise them to come to you as a leader for more guidance. And 6, be decisive. Be prepared to make final decisions after deliberating with your group members in order to gather the information feedback you need to make informed choices. Using Slack's features to your advantage. So in this next section of the presentation, I will demonstrate how to implement the steps that I've just discussed using Slack, a business communication platform. I'll be demonstrating by using Slack today because this is a platform that has worked really well for the Peer Mentors Network, but you might find that another platform works better for you. So I just wanted to briefly take this opportunity now to highlight how some of Slack's features can be used to build a foundation of your team based on the steps to success discussed in the previous slides. So first, you'll want to download the Slack app from your desktop, Android, or iOS device and create a Slack workplace. Be sure to create a new channel for your workplace and invite your team members using their preferred email addresses. So once you've done this, your workplace will look something like this. I wanted to draw your attention to the left side of the screen where you'll see all your channels. These are essentially different group chats dedicated to different projects or purposes. In the hashtag Winter Summit channel that I've created, I've provided an example of an effective communication between a team leader, played by myself in this scenario, and my team members, Jed and Mohammed, following the 6 steps to success. As you can see, I've delegated each member's role respectfully and have ensured that everyone understands the scope of the assignment and their responsibilities by asking if anyone requires clarification, answering Jed's question, and asking if my answer was helpful. I have also demonstrated decision-making skills by determining which role everyone will play in the group after discussing with everyone their preferences and skills over a Zoom call that was held prior to this conversation. Later on in the discussion, you can see that I'm touching base with my group members and kindly asking if they need my assistance. I've also made my group members aware that they can message me privately in case they have any concerns. So far, we've laid the foundation necessary for a healthy team environment and how this can be implemented using technology. However, you still may be wondering, how do I develop into a team leader who exhibits the behaviors and habits necessary to lead a successful team in accordance with the 6 steps? Luckily, in the remainder of this presentation, my colleagues will provide strategies for building confidence and interpersonal connections with your teammates, cultivating community and pride, and solving conflict that may arise in group settings, increasing your chances of success as a team leader in an online world.
One of the most important characteristics a leader has to show is empathy, and to have that characteristic of being able, being someone that everyone can approach and being approachable. So what is empathy? To put it very simply, it's really the ability to understand the feelings of others and to feel the feelings of others. But to put it in a more deep sense, we have to sort of contrast what empathy and sympathy are, because people tend to sort of misconstrue both of these definitions. So for this, I would want to use a sort of analogy or an example to further explain my point. Let's say in a hypothetical situation that there is a person who has fallen into a well and finds themselves stuck over there. Another person walking by decides to show some sympathy, looks down the well and says, I know how you feel, must be pretty bad. Once in a while, lowers down some food to them to make sure they don't starve or get thirsty. And then comes along a person who wants to show some empathy. So they actually get a ladder or a rope and they go down and they sit down inside the well with the person and say, look, I know how you feel now. We can get out of this situation. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be anxious about. So that's the difference there between showing empathy and showing sympathy. And it's really important for a leader in the workplace to be able to understand people's feelings and emotions and also feel them as if they were his or her own. So how do you show empathy in the workplace? The first thing that goes a long way is to have the ability to look after or look out for an overwhelmed person. So if there's someone who is incredibly stressed or overloaded with work, it is essential to be able to figure out their situation, to spot them as a leader, and to find out how it's possible to distribute work, maybe lighten their burden a bit. And that way, not only will they feel a little less burden, but it will actually also improve their performance in the workplace. A lot of people show empathy when someone is going through something. So as children, we're taught, when your friend falls off their bike, or someone falls off a tree, we like to go over and give them a hand and ask them if they're doing okay. But it's also important to empathize with people in times of success. So if a coworker or someone who's under you achieves something, then it's important to empathize with their dreams and ambitions, to tell them how big of an achievement it is, how important it will be for their future, how how great they are for getting this far. So it's empathizing not only in times of distress, but also in times of success. And finally, and somewhat obviously, the importance of listening and just creating an environment where everyone feels like they are important. The person who's been working for 3, 4 years, who has solidified their position, should feel the same uh, as the person who just walked in a few days ago. They should both feel the same in terms of how confident they are, how accepted they feel, and how important they feel in the group environment.
We are now going to talk about how to create a collaborative and productive workplace atmosphere. Before we go into details on how to effectively collaborate and work productively while online, we're going to ask you to reflect on your experiences. Now, if we were in person, I might ask you how you feel about the atmosphere in your current and our past workplaces. So you can think about that for a second. Some of you might say that you're happy with your current workplace, or some of you might have a less positive experience. Having a variety of experiences would be common for most people, as working in different fields and positions can bring a wide range of circumstances. I might also ask you what a good place may look and feel like. Many of you could say that a workplace with constant communication and a positive outlook on making mistakes would be a great workplace to be in. So these would be great answers. Communication is essential to keeping a clear path to any given goal. On the other hand, having a positive attitude towards making mistakes allows people to learn, which is a vital part to growth and improvement. Having an open mind goes a long way in the workplace, allowing for better cohesion and collaboration amongst the team. This allows and encourages new ideas and questions to be expressed and asked. Having an open door policy and mentality allows for questions and suggestions to be freely expressed to other team members and especially a team leader. Sustaining a level of open dialogue as well as the willingness to listen to others is essential for an effective and productive stream of communication. In my experience, I noticed the more I asked questions, the more things I learned that I wouldn't have known otherwise. For example, when asking my supervisor about details regarding upcoming plans, I gained additional information which allowed me to develop new ideas and also to brainstorm even further. Another example could be considering team members' preferences when delegating roles, which could innately bring their strengths out. Being proactive and supportive is also great. So creating a "we have your back" culture instills a sense of security and support when working with your team. Having dedicated social time is also encouraged. This is valuable and provides members of the team time to bond and allows them to form connections with other people, cultivating a sense of camaraderie, which will incidentally increase their productivity. People who have made connections with one another will also be more willing and enthusiastic about working together. An example may be to set regular meetings for check-ins, giving an opportunity for team members to express any questions or concerns they may have. Another example would be setting aside dedicated social time, like a games night, which would allow for team building and de-stressing to take place. Having a positive mindset helps in creating a workplace culture that is supportive and productive. It is vital that the leader embodies this way of thinking in order to inspire others. The rest of the team will more than likely adopt the same mentality and practices in their day-to-day work, ensuring that questions and new ideas are not only welcomed and answered, but encouraged and appreciated, which is key to a positive workplace culture. An example that I can share from my experience is that I'm always optimistic about projects, as well as as we are a team, we always work and we always encourage others, which promotes creative ideas and new thinking. So having a growth-oriented mindset is an essential component in developing a winning mentality. The three main points include challenging yourself to step outside your comfort zone, accepting that mistakes will be made by yourself as well as your teammates, and having the willingness to accept and apply constructive criticism. By expanding your comfort zone, one must try new things and take on new tasks. In a way, you must seek discomfort in order to grow. An example may be your willingness to take some risks by doing things that are personally challenging. Mistakes are inevitable and necessary for learning. Making mistakes and reflecting on them is key in order to develop a plan and move forward. Listening to feedback and applying it to new situations will assist in the process of learning and growing in order to achieve long-term success.
Another aspect of leadership that is extremely important in a team environment is confidence. And developing confidence is one of the most important tasks any leader has. When it comes to creating confidence, there are multiple ways to do it in multiple situations. I want to start off with sort of talking about a personal anecdote back before COVID, when I used to play soccer as a part of a team. There were times when we had some really bad games. We might be coming off at halftime, 2-0 down, 3-0 down. And it was a really bad situation. It did not feel good at all. Everyone was blaming each other. It was sort of a sense of chaos in on the bench when we were sort of cooling down, drinking water at halftime. What my coach used to do, which was really important, and I didn't feel it until I started to learn about leadership, was that he would inspire us through a sense of unity and common goal. He would tell us, look, each and every person on this team is the same person. If one person scores, it's like you scored. If one person makes a good play, it's like you made that good play. So everyone has to put in the same effort. Everyone is working towards the same goal. And that would give us a lot of confidence. One, because we felt like everyone had each other's back. And two, because we were we were feeling this sense of everyone is equal, everyone has the same status in the team, because no matter how good someone does, it's everyone's success. And that gave us confidence. And there were times when we were able to come back because of this renewed sense of confidence, this self-belief that we could do it, and we would come back onto the pitch a completely different team. So that's what a leader is supposed to do, to pick up a group of people who are struggling mentally, physically at a difficult moment, to pick them up, motivate them, inspire them through a sense of unity, to give them the confidence. And when they go back into whatever task it is, and in this case, it was the soccer field, they go back as a completely different team, performing at a much higher level. The second aspect to creating more confidence is to make learning normal. So not everyone knows everything, and nobody really knows everything, to be honest. So it's really important, and it's really essential to create an environment where if someone doesn't know something, then there is an environment of teaching them. So rather than, oh, you don't know this, it doesn't seem like you're cut out for this job. Instead of excluding them, perhaps add a few people who can teach them and allow them to work on this task. Let them develop their confidence by learning. Don't make them feel like they have to be excluded now because they're not good enough. Um, one of one of my my most favorite leadership quotes is actually said by a soccer coach, a famous soccer coach that some of you guys might know, whose name is Jurgen Klopp, and he once said that something around the lines of being a good leader is having a lot of people around you who know how to do certain things better than you. And that's really what leadership is all about, to make sure that you can pick out the right people and to create the right confidence in the team that the things that you are not able to do really well, your teammates, people working with you, have the confidence to take on those things. You have the confidence in them that they can take on those tasks. And that sort of leads on to the third point, which is to utilize people's strengths. If you see that there is a person who is strong in a certain aspect, in a certain task, maybe they're good at dealing with people. If they're not good at dealing with people, maybe they're good at administrative work. Maybe they're good at, calculations and accounting work or whatever that may be. Try to utilize that strength and use that, their good performance in that task that they're already good at, to create a sense of confidence in them. And when that confidence starts to grow, then you can slowly move on to creating, and developing them further, teaching them things that they didn't know before, teaching them things that they weren't good at before. And that way you can create a full team member and a very confident person.
Having listened to and participated in this workshop, you should now be able to build collaborative relationships with team members without having met in real life, reach goals by setting team expectations and accountability checks, and establish clear communication within a team to manage multiple projects and priorities effectively. And these are just the resources and references we use to inform our presentation.
And finally, thank you everyone for listening and giving us your time. And we hope that this was really helpful. Perhaps some of these things you already knew, in which case I hope that it was a good reminder. And if you did not know something, we hope that you learned something new today.